Welcome to Survey English. Today's video is very important. If you watch this video carefully, you can boost your score by 5 to 10 points easily. I'll share with you the top 23 tips and tricks to improve your score in PTE academic. All of these tips are relevant in 2019. They are currently relevant. They are important. So if you are seriously studying for PTE, watch this video till the very end. Make sure that you understand each and every tip that I'm going to discuss. It will help you in your PT preparation a lot. Before we begin, please check the video description. We've got a great PTE course offer for you. Anyone who's looking for a PTE course online or offline, you will benefit a lot from this offer. So make sure that you check the video description below. Alright, so with that, let's begin today's video. The very first tip that I've got for you: keep it simple when speaking. A lot of time what happens is people just panic in questions like describe image or retell lecture. They try to get each and every point out of the image or out of the lecture, and then they try to include all of that information in their response. Please, you don't have to do all of that. Keep it simple. This is not an exam of your analytical skills. No one's trying to understand whether you can read graphs or not. You should be able to get the most important information, and the most important information is usually in front of you. So the title, what's written in the image, what's shown in the image, it's quite simple. So you can just take that and then speak about it. Okay, don't try to be very smart. Don't try to extract a lot of meaning out of the lecture or out of the image. If you do that, you will confuse yourself and your response will suffer. The second tip that I've got for you: faster is better than slower. Now, this is applicable to the speaking section. So usually if you speak faster, that is better than speaking slower. However, the optimal speed, the right speed varies from person to person. Some people, they sound natural, they sound fluent when they speak at a slow rate. Others, they sound fluent, they sound natural when they speak very fast. But so ideally, if you got a tutor or if you got a teacher, then ask your teacher or ask your tutor to help you understand how fast or how slow you should speak. But in case you don't have access to a tutor, then as a rule of thumb, as a basic guideline, speak faster. That always, most of the times, that will be better than slower. On to the next tip, number 3: don't put too much stress. So if you've been studying for PTE and if you have looked at the speaking section, then one of the common tips, one of the common suggestions is to put emphasis, to put stress on important words. But some people, usually students, when they don't fully understand, they take this to an extreme. They start putting emphasis, they start putting stress at, every second or every third word. What that does is it makes your response sound very unnatural. You have to be natural, right? So in a, let's say in a usual read aloud question, you can just pick any 3-4 important words and put your emphasis, put your stress on them. Don't think too much. Don't try to put emphasis, don't try to put stress on every second or every third word. That will make your response look very unnatural. Let's go to the next tip, tip number 4. Make a mental picture to understand better. So when you are listening, this is especially relevant to the listening section. When you're listening to an audio, it's often difficult to remember each and everything. If you just try to remember, so you will take notes, you will write down something, but at the same time also make a mental picture, as if you are watching a movie. So imagine that you are watching a movie, but for a moment you close your eyes. But when you hear the dialogues, when you hear the soundtrack in the movie, you can still make a picture in your mind. You can still understand quite a bit. So do the same when you are listening to an audio in PTE Academic. Make a mental picture that will help you much better. The next tip, learn to identify the theme. In a usual audio, whether in a lecture or in a summarized spoken text, so the speaker, he will talk about some things which are important, but a few things which he speaks about, they will not be very important. But your response, your answer has to be focused on the main theme. So you have to learn to identify what that main theme is. As a basic guideline, things which are repeated again and again. Okay? Things to which other ideas are related to. Those are the main points. That is the main theme in the audio that you hear. The next tip, give the most common sense answer. This is for answer short question. A lot of time, again, people, they just overcomplicate this question type. What you hear, whatever the first common sense answer that comes to your mind, give that. For example, there's a question that, which piece of furniture would you usually find in a bedroom, right? The most common sense answer is a bed, okay? Because without a bed, you will not have a bedroom. But then a lot of people, they say, they start thinking, but most bedrooms, they will also have a cupboard, it will also have an almirah, you know, or it, might have a chair as well. You don't need to complicate. Give the most common sense answer. So in this case, just say bed and move on to the next question. So give the most common sense answer, and that will get you the good score. The next tip, don't start writing immediately. This is for your essay writing questions. What people do, they immediately, because they don't have a plan, they don't, they have practiced, but they haven't practiced properly. They don't have a proper strategy. They don't have a proper method. So they're always in a panic mode. They see a topic, they think, I can't write in 20 minutes, so I should start writing immediately. But when you do that, you disturb the structure, you don't come up with good points, you miss out important things, and your overall essay is much poorer. What you should do is you should take some time first to understand the theme, then to come up with ideas, then write a basic structure, and then write. So develop your essay in these steps. Don't start writing immediately, don't panic. If you follow proper steps, you will write a good essay. The next tip that we have for you is also related to essay writing, and that is always review your essay in the end. For this, it's important that you manage your time properly. You divide your 20 minutes properly and always leave a couple of minutes in the end for a review. When you do that, you can catch mistakes, spelling mistakes. You can identify, if you have deviated from the topic. If you are repeating some words again and again, then you can take this time to replace those words with synonyms. So the last couple of minutes should be for review and for improving your essay. Now, on to the next tip. Don't write many complicated sentences. So there's a false notion that if you write very long or very complex, very complicated sentences, you will get a great score. You don't have to write too many complicated sentences. Yes, you should try to show that you know how to make a complex sentence, how to use conjunctions, how to combine a couple of ideas, but don't complicate it too much. Because if you write a very long or very complicated sentence, then there's a good chance that you will end up making some grammar mistakes. So please avoid that. The next tip, again, don't write a very long summary sentence. This is for the summarized text in the writing section. So, though you can write 70 words, you can write 60 words, but when you write those many words in one sentence, then the chance that you will make a mistake, it almost doubles. So to avoid that, write a reasonably long sentence, maybe 35 words, 40 words, 30 words. Don't write too much, okay? Otherwise, you will end up making some mistakes. The next tip, don't depend entirely on keyword matching. This is for the multiple choice questions in the reading section. So some people, they've got a simple technique. They will pick words in the options in the question prompt, and then they will try to match those words with the text which is there in the question, the reading text in the passage. But if you depend entirely on that, then there is a good chance that you will make some mistake. First, you will not always find the same word in the passage. A lot of time, you will find a synonym or a word which has the same meaning or the similar meaning. Other times, even if you match the keywords, there will be some other information in the passage which will prove that your option is what you are going to select is wrong. So don't depend entirely on keyword matching. Try to understand the theme, try to understand the context, look at the surrounding words and also the surrounding, you know, sentences in that passage, so that you make your option choice based upon a proper understanding. So if you do that, you will avoid making a number of silly mistakes. The next tip that I have for you is learn how to skim and scan a text. Now this is a simple technique, skimming and scanning when you're reading a passage. You should almost always follow these techniques for these questions. Why? Because you are not reading for pleasure. You're reading for a specific purpose, either to find some information or to validate some information, right? So when you do this, that's when you read following these techniques, then you save a lot of time and you end up picking the right options. So you can check the internet for some a free tutorial on skimming or scanning. If you are in the Sure English course, you will learn this as part of that. So, but whatever it is, make sure that you understand what skimming is, what scanning is. That will help you a lot with your reading questions. The next tip now, tip number 13. If it's not logical, it is not correct. Okay, so for the fill in the blanks and for multiple choice questions, if there's an option, right, it matches on the keywords and all of that, but that option doesn't sound logical, okay, it sounds nonsense, then it's not correct. Pearson will not put illogical options as the correct option. They will not have any logical passage. All the passages are based upon proper academic text. So if it's not logical, it's not correct. Similarly, in the fill in the blanks questions, if you put in a word in a blank and the word makes sense from the grammar perspective, but it doesn't make sense from a logical perspective, then it is not correct. So always look for the logic. Option number 14, don't use your own knowledge. By this I mean that something which from some other sources, you've read about, let's say, the economy of Australia somewhere, and you know that the figures for 2015 are whatever, uh, $300 billion or whatever, and in the passage they are referring to those figures as $100 billion. Your answers, they have to be based upon what's written in the passage. Don't think that I read it somewhere, it is 300 million, so I will give my answer based upon that. No, your answer has to be based upon what's there in the passage, what's explicitly given, explicitly said. Always give your answer based upon that. The next tip, tip number 15, take proper notes. A very simple thing to say, but a lot of people, either they don't take notes or they don't take the notes in the right manner. You are not taking dictation, you don't have to write each and every word. Your notes, they should cover important points, they should cover important relationships between different parts of the text. That's what I call proper notes. So please learn how to take proper notes. That will help you a lot. The next tip, tip number 16, don't make random guesses to avoid negative marking. So for the multiple choice, multiple correct answers, don't make random guesses. If you are confident about one option, then just select one option. Okay, if you make random guess, then there's a chance that you will get a negative score and get a 0. Of course, if you don't know, you are not confident about any option, then yes, make your best educated guess. Because the score, as you know, it can't go below 0. So you should always make a guess if you don't know a better answer. But if you know one answer, then don't make any other random guesses. Tip number 17, learn and follow only one strategy. Now, you probably already know there's no dearth of YouTube videos on YouTube, and also, there are different websites, different books, So first of all, you should pick your materials carefully. Okay? Pick them from a good source, from the sources which have teaching experience, which have been doing this for a few years. And then, now all of these people, they might have slightly different strategies, they might have somewhat different methods, but you should learn and follow the one method, one strategy which suits you the best. If you learn a bit from here, you try to learn a bit from there, and then combine those methods in the exam, then there's a good chance you will make a mistake. So learn one strategy, follow that strategy, practice that strategy before the exam, and when you go into that exam, only follow that strategy or that method. Don't complicate. If you try too many different things, it will not help. The next tip, review the word list. There is an academic word list which contains the common words that appear in exams like PTE and IELTS. So review that word list, learn the meanings, the pronunciation, the usage of the words on those word list. If you are a member of any Sureway English course, then you will have access to this already. Otherwise, the basic word list you can find in some other sources as well. Make sure that you review the word list and also make your own word list. When you are practicing, there's a good chance you will make some mistakes, you will come across new words. So keep adding those words to your list. Before the exam, a few days before the exam, review that word list. The next tip, brush up your grammar basics. I'm not saying that you have to learn each and every grammar topic, but certain basics like the structure of a sentence, the parts of speech, these things, brush up these grammar basics. These can easily make a difference of about 5 points to your overall score. So please brush up your grammar basics. The next tip, pay extra attention to the last sentence. Now, going back to the PTE question types, this is relevant to the select missing word question. So in that, when you know that you are coming towards the last sentence, pay extra attention to that. Because the word that you pick, you have to combine it with the last sentence and then evaluate the whole sentence. So pay extra attention to the last sentence. Try to remember the last sentence, note down the last sentence. Okay, without that, it'll be very difficult to give the right answer in select missing word. Tip number 21, don't change your answers later. This is again for the listening section and the highlight incorrect words. A lot of people, in the end, once they have clicked on the options, they will go back and they try to change the answers. Don't do that. Because, ideally you should just follow the audio and keep clicking at the same time. If you have been doing that, then the chances that you will remember something in the end, they are very low. So when the chances of remembering are low, don't change your answers based upon that. Okay, so stick to what you have gone with. On to the next tip, tip number 22, focus on quality over quantity. Now, there are hundreds of YouTube PTE videos on YouTube, and I know a lot of people, they just keep hunting for more and more practice questions. That is the wrong approach. It is much better to get the right materials and then spend all your time, going through those materials properly, rather than just get, hundreds of rubbish questions and then quickly, waste your time going through each and every one of them. So the proper way of practicing is you take a question, you answer, right? And in the end, you compare your response to the correct response. If you are right, then you try to understand why you are right. And if you are wrong, you also try to understand why you are wrong. That's how you learn when you practice. If you don't spend time on that evaluation step in the end, then you're practicing, you pretty much wasted your time. So much better that you take a few questions, but you practice them properly rather than you take hundreds and then, waste all your time. The last tip that I have for you is have patience. Good things, they take time. If your goal is to get a good PTE score, to settle down in Australia or whatever your target is, then that's a good target. That's something good to work towards. But you must have patience. Certain things, certain skills, if you are not very good in speaking, you have pronunciation problems or fluency problems, then it's natural that it will take some time to improve. So keep that in mind, right? Have patience, give yourself proper time to study, give yourself proper time to prepare. If you keep doing things in a rush, you will keep wasting your money, you will end up frustrated. So have patience, take the right approach, get the right help, and then you will definitely see good results. Alright, so with that, we come to the end of this video, which I hope you guys will find very useful. As I said earlier too, please check the video description for a great PTE course offer. If you have been looking for systematic guidance, a proper course that can help you streamline your PTE prep, then this offer is for you. So make sure that you check the video description. All the best. I will see you soon in another PTE academic video. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel if not already, share it with your friends you think who will benefit from this. All the best, and I'll see you soon.